What the heck is going on in the world, Scott?
Yeah.
I
Life.
I don't even have words. And for a Gemini rising, I think that's pretty spectacular if you don't have words for something. But we were just talking backstage before going live and how the headlines feel particularly heavy. We're going to go through those. And I do have one that is good news. So I'll share that at the end. But welcome everybody to Planets and Predictions. This is your weekly look at the astrology, news headlines. We look at it through an astrological lens. I'm Dallisa Hawking, a fifth generation psychic medium. So I look at everything through a psychic lens, while my co-host here, Scott Tajirian, he's an astrologer and a podcaster. And is Substacker an actual word?
Sure. Why not?
And his podcast he does without me is called The Weekly Transit. But yeah, so things have been really, the word that comes to mind is swirling. That's what I'm seeing like in my mind's eye psychically is like this tornado.
Yes.
So we have a lot to talk about today. And we have a couple of astrological aspects, transits that are happening that we're gonna dive into. But first, like, how are you doing? And hello to everyone joining us live today. It's good to see everybody.
You're asking me how I'm doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Dallisa. Yeah, I feel very fortunate, grateful to be here, happy to share the knowledge with you and everybody who is tuning in, whether live or on the recording. I just feel so honored to be here.
Oh, we have a very important question in the chat this week.
Yes, Trina.
I know. Last week was a special episode to look at the eclipse because I was out of the office. And I think I'll touch on that while we're on the subject. So people in my Sacred Signals community, they often hear a lot of my predictions and channelings. And I remember months ago talking about this trip that I had coming up. And I said, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And I had looked at it a few times and it always felt heavy. It always felt like slightly off kilter. And now I know why, in hindsight. I'm fine. The trip itself was fine. But there were major things that happened while I was gone that I think just added to the density, the heaviness that I was experiencing. One, obviously, Charlie Kirk and everything that went along with that. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit when we get into the headlines. But not only that, but where I was, there was a cyber attack that took down a bunch of systems in the airports. And then today, two of the countries I had visited, there was large drones that people are speculating are from Russia that were over Denmark and Norway, that is causing a lot of alarm. And so anyway, I see now why I was getting this like mixed bag energy of, what the heck is going to happen while I'm gone? Because I feel like it's okay for me to go, but why do I get all of this like murkiness? And now I understand. But there were great highlights. I did go to Anne Frank's house in Amsterdam.
What'd you love about that?
I've
been there.
Oh, you have? Okay.
It was a long time ago. It was 20 some years ago, maybe 30 years ago. I don't know. It was 1999. So what is that? 26 years ago? Yeah. So what did you think?
Even as we bring this up, it gives me chills. And there's something I'm going to do channeling wise with the whole mystery of who turned her family. And that's going to be part of something I do in October.
Oh.
Yeah, because I don't know. It had been a long time since I'd read the Diary of Anne Frank. And it completely left my brain that no one has ever actually figured out
Who turned
who,
them in?
yep,
Wow.
and how their family was discovered there. And I
Wow.
have like chills through my whole body. So I just feel like I'm supposed to look into this and channel on it. And so it's something I'm going to do leading up to Halloween. So
What
more
was
on
it
that.
like being in her house?
Ah, I think my answer might be a little bit surprising to some. Her energy actually feels lighter than one may expect.
Hmm.
And I appreciated that I could see actual pages that she wrote, visiting that museum. I felt this like deep sadness when you go into the building and then you realize the bookcase that opened, and that's where they were hiding behind that bookcase. They really, really tried to hide and stay
Hmm.
hidden, and I could feel that going through there,
Hmm.
but it wasn't. I didn't get a lot of the sadness that I thought I would get inside of their actual space. It felt more hopeful.
Hmm.
And I think maybe that's why I'm feeling so drawn to look into how they got found out,
Hmm.
because I feel like they felt like they could stay there until it passed.
Hmm.
And so, anyway, but what did you think when you walked through it? I know it's been a while.
Uh, Man, what did I think? I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. It just feels very surreal. It's hard to, I wasn't really, I don't know, honestly. I remember just, this is going to sound very Scorpio, but I was like, that's where Anne Frank went to the bathroom.
Wow.
Like
Yep.
that, just
Yeah.
kind of like normal thoughts, and like, just kind of trying to equate it to my reality of like, this is a house where people lived. And I read this book that she wrote when I was in grade school, and I felt really sad for the family and what happened to them. Um, but yeah, it was, I don't know, I was just out of college. We were doing a lot of drinking and ecstasy and that kind of stuff around uh, the whole sightseeing tour and everything. So I was maybe really hungover when I was there too, and I don't remember.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to give a shout out to Liz from Central California. That's where I'm from. Where are you from, Liz? We're in Central California.
Where,
So,
where?
yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It was a long time ago, and I just don't really. Yeah, I vaguely remember like a few snippets of things, but yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it. So if anybody makes it to Amsterdam, just make sure that you book your tickets in advance because they're sold out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so more to come on that. A little bit of a tangent today, but there's so much to talk about and dig into. Couple of quick housekeeping notes, because I know a lot of you watch our episode each week, and thank you for that. Um, we are doing the magic word, and there are winners from the September 9th and September 16th episodes. Those winners are Joanne Kitt and Olga Abaraka. I'm sorry, I just butchered your name. But those are the two winners. And so just make sure you send me an email this week to claim your 12-month personalized tarot report. So congratulations to Joanne and Olga. And then we'll have a brand new one for today. Uh, and we'll get into that in just a little bit, but we'll have a magic word from this episode. So make sure you keep your ears open for that magic word, and you'll have a chance to win as well. Yeah, but people really like the magic word idea.
It's popular.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments.
It was
People,
fun in the chat because, like, when you said the word, like, everybody was like writing the word in the chat. It was funny. Yeah.
You got to go fill out the little form so that we can pull a winner from it. So
Yeah.
I do it there because then I have a name and you have the word associated with it. So, but I've made it really easy to do that. So we'll be getting into that a little bit later in today's episode. Yeah. So I think we should just start talking about the astrology.
Yeah.
There are two big things happening this week.
Yes.
You mentioned Scorpio a minute ago about Anne Frank's house and what you were thinking about when you were going through her house.
Yeah.
Mars in Scorpio.
Yes.
That does not feel like rainbows and unicorns.
No,
No. Mm-mm. But you could convince me otherwise.
I will. I will convince you otherwise because it's Mars in the sign that it rules, in a position of
Oh.
power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's giving us the strength to go deep. It's giving us the strength to really delve into the dark areas of our sense of intimacy and vulnerability. It's a cleansing. Like when you think of Scorpio rules the bathroom. Why? Because that's where you have a bowel movement. And Scorpio rules the colon. So this is literally clearing out, the poop that's within us all. And so what is blocking you? What is creating stagnation? What needs to move through? This is going to help the transformation occur. There is a lot of tension right now. Just like maybe if you have kind of an upset stomach and you need to go to the bathroom, you got to clear something out. Like that's where we are right now. And we're going to be here. So Mars moved into Scorpio on September 22nd. It's there until November 4th. Now, what's also unique about this, and I mean, I don't know if I'm getting too ahead of myself here, but it's happening. It's going to be transiting through Scorpio the entire time that the sun is in Libra.
Mm.
And that's very unique because the last time that happened was 2010. And the time before that was 1995. So this is only the third time in the last 30 years that this has occurred, where you have Mars transiting through Scorpio as the sun transits through Libra.
Okay, I wasn't expecting to talk about poo. But that's why we do these episodes because I'm like, oh, well, I wouldn't have even thought about Mars and Scorpio about bowel movements. But
Yeah.
so is it not just poop, but also just anything that we need to clear out of our life?
Think about it like this, Dallisa. This right here is the physical manifestation of your soul. Right here, your body. Like I want to just impress upon every single person that's listening right now how important and sacred your body is, because your body encapsulates your soul. And Scorpio is the sign that represents the spiritual power of your soul. It's like your soul has come here to grow, to evolve. It can't do that without transformation. It's not easy. Just like going from a caterpillar to a butterfly isn't easy, or a grape to a bottle of wine isn't easy, a rock to a diamond. But this is going to help us move through whatever we are holding back. Yeah, thank you, Javiera, for the poo emojis. That's awesome. Let's go. Yeah, and Cookies Girl. Yeah, I guess we are full of shit. It's like that's what she wrote. I'm just reading, but but it's helping us clear that out. So it's not literal. It's not a literal necessarily bowel movement. Though hopefully you're having regular bowel movements, but it's an energetic bowel movement as well. It's like where are you afraid? Like what are you afraid of? Like a lot of people I'm talking to right now, like, oh, the world's crazy out there, and there's a real sense of fear. But if I'm afraid of something, there is nothing. And if I'm afraid of anything, and I want a protector, in terms of like the language of astrology, the most powerful protector is going to be Mars in Scorpio. I mean, this is James Bond. This is the spy. This is the person that is so brave, they're willing to go behind enemy lines and be hidden and coerce with the enemy and make the enemy think that they're a part of them. So this is really helping us go into those areas in our lives that we are terrified to face, where we feel completely vulnerable, completely naked, and we don't know how to be in this space. This is going to help us get through that experience.
So like I said, it doesn't really seem like rainbows and butterflies, but
I guess just from my perspective as a Scorpio, that is rainbows and butterflies. You know, sex and bowel movements are like my two favorite things in the world.
wow.
So
You heard it here. You heard it here. Oh my God. This episode is already just top notch.
yeah.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. Maybe it'll be our highest views yet. If it is, we're going to have to just start talking about bowel movements every week. Okay. Well, you did tease in your description of Mars and Scorpio about the sun going into Libra.
Yeah.
So it's Libra season. Happy birthday to all the Libras out there. Yeah. What do you think about Libra season?
Well, Libra is, you know, the sun is transiting through the cardinal air sign, symbolized by the scales, which represent balance, harmony, equanimity, fairness, peace, serenity, and it's ruled by Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships. So when the sun transits through Libra, as it does every year from September 22nd or 23rd until October 22nd or 23rd, depending on what time and where you are in the world, it's a time to bring light to what is out of balance in your relationships and to initiate the conversations that need to be had in order for there to be balance, for balance to be maintained or reestablished. So we're being called to look at what is out of balance in our relationships and what we need to negotiate or renegotiate in order to create that balance so that we can have peace. But it's also a cleansing as well because, you know, Libra rules the kidneys. And the kidneys are that part of the body that is, oh, thank you, Pam, is the kidneys are that part of the body that cleanse the blood. So when you think about how the astrology works in the body, you know, we just went from Virgo, which is the intestines, which are that part of the body that eliminate whatever's in the body that's no longer serving the body, to Libra, which is the kidneys, which is that part of the body that cleanses the blood. And when you think about it too, it's really poetic because cleansing the blood, what's the term that we use in terms of relationships and blood? You don't want there to be any bad blood between you and another person. So Libra is helping to flush the bad blood that exists within you and those that you're in relationship with. And then Scorpio comes along and you can poop it all out, from the Virgo, the intestines, to the kidneys, to the colon, and now you flush it out. And that's why when we get to Sagittarius and it's the hips, we're dancing because we feel free. And it's like, oh, I feel so much lighter now. You know, that's how this is working for us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense because it is a story. It's like you're taking us through this journey of what we're supposed to be leaning into and considering right now. And if we're doing that and we're working with the astrology, then you're right. We get to Sagittarius season and it's like partay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's it. That's it,
That's what I
Dallisa.
know. That's what I
Yes.
know.
Yes.
That's why we're a good balance. The Scorpio, the Sagittarius, like, yeah.
Totally. Totally. I
Yes.
drag everyone into the dark, and it's not scary down here. And Dallisa is, raising everybody's vibrations into the light, into the sky.
Yes. Yes. But we have to
Yeah.
go through the Scorpio stuff first. So
Yeah.
Mars and Scorpio, and then Sun will go into Libra. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but then eventually the Sun will go into Scorpio.
Yep.
And so we're with this Mars and Scorpio, it's like this introduction of us going into those deeper waters.
Yeah.
Because with a Scorpio, I don't think you ever really find the bottom.
No. Exactly. It's very deep. You don't want to know. You don't want to go down to the very bottom. It's too scary. Or most people don't. But yeah, so the Sun and Mars are both going to be in Scorpio from October 22nd to November 4th, and then Mars transits into Sagittarius along with Mercury. They both move into Sagittarius around the same time, I think. I need to double check, but yeah, Mars is going to be transiting through Sagittarius before the Sun gets there. So Mars is charging ahead right now. The Sun will catch up to Mars in January.
Oh,
That's when
wow.
that's when like the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all just like kind of clustered together in January, which we'll get to that when we get there. Let's just focus
Yeah.
on September right now. But the interesting thing about the Sun and Mars transiting into new signs at the same time is, so Mars right now is squaring Pluto, its good buddy, fellow planetary ruler of Scorpio, in Aquarius. So there's tension between, this is maybe kind of the heaviness, if people are feeling a heaviness right now, is the fact that Pluto is dragging us into the light of like the town square. We're all naked in the town square. It's like, whoa, I don't want to be here naked. Like, this is what I bargained for, where Mars and Scorpio is like pulling us back into the darkness, but also trying to make us feel more safe in being vulnerable. But there's just a lot of tension between these two. Then you have the Sun in Libra, which is opposing Neptune in Aries. It's forming a trine to Pluto in Aquarius and a trine to Uranus in Gemini right now. So because those three planets are all at the early degrees, they're all three of those are being hit by the Sun, and then Mars is hitting Pluto. Hopefully it'll lighten up by next week. It'll be a little more smooth, hopefully. So
I am telling my Sacred Signals community, and as I start to look at like 2026 and channelings and everything, there is a lot that we are going to go through between now and, I'd say, arriving safely at early summer of next year. So let's take the opportunity to flesh out the bad blood and do the inner work, and remembering, like with any astrological transit, everything is temporary. The good, the bad, everything is temporary.
Yes.
And so even when we're feeling like we're slugging through some of this energy, it's there for a reason. Maybe it's trying to get you to slow down, to look deeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, think about it in terms of like, we're being, as the world is changing and evolving, we're being upgraded and we're being prepped. So as you continue to do the inner work and you're mindful of how these planetary energies are, how they're affecting you, so that you can work with them, so that you can collaborate with these energies, you're going to be fine moving through the chaos because you've done the work. If you're clinging to the way things have always been, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard moving forward. So we have to be open to receiving the new information that we're conscious of, that we're unconscious of, that's flowing through our dreams, but also through our conversations, through our actions. I want to be making different choices. I want to be making different choices. That's how we continue to evolve. That's how I got to where I am right now, is because I stopped making the choices that I was making when I was like partying my ass off in Europe in 1999. If I was still making those choices, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't, have a wife who's pregnant with twins and doing this work where I'm counseling and supporting people. So what changes do you want to make in your life to bring yourself more peace?
Oh, that is the big question right now. I just know from myself, and, you and I talk, we're friends, and I share a lot about just kind of what I'm going through energetically. And I feel that too. I feel like we're being asked, where can we lighten up? Like, where can we redirect this or that? Or where can we say no? And maybe it's something we have been carting around for a long time. And we're like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yes.
Right. And so whatever that is in your life, but I think that can be that, I would call it gritty, like that grittiness of Mars and Scorpio. Like, I think it can give us that reflection that asks us to consider, like, what are we doing in our lives? Like, what is that action that we're taking or not taking, and why?
Yes.
Yeah, because like I said, Scorpio, you cannot see the bottom of that well.
No.
And the more you can sit and ask yourself those deeper questions about where you're at right now and why, and frankly, maybe making some of those bigger decisions. I always think of Scorpio as like, oh, it has such depth and wisdom to it that I think it can get us into really deep spots within ourselves if we allow it to. And I think that there is an intensity to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're given this portal of sorts to go take a deep dive through that well.
Yes.
And even if it is intense, it's okay to feel intense.
Yes.
But then what are you going to do about it?
The intensity, I mean, Scorpio rules the bowel movement and the orgasm. Like, like they're both it's not a normal occurrence, that you're just like having every day, all day long or whatever. They're intense experiences, but they transform you. Like the intensity, the tension is part of the transformation. And the transformation is necessary for the continuation of your life on this earth and moving forward beyond this earth. So transformation is continuation, growth, evolution. What's interesting about these transits, like I said, the last time that Mars was in Scorpio for the entire transit of the sun in Libra was 2010, and then before that was 1995, before that was 1978, and before that was 1963. So if you've been alive, during those years, I encourage you to really think back to what was going on in your life during these same dates, from September 22nd, 23rd to October 22nd, 23rd in 2010, 95, 78, and 63. The juxtaposition is, on one side you have the light. Above the surface, there's peace, there's harmony. We're negotiating. But beneath the surface, there could be a war happening. you need to be aware of both, because what's going on beneath the surface, whatever tension there, whatever war is happening beneath the surface, acknowledging that is going to move you through to real actual peace rather than just on the surface.
Amen to that, as my cats just knocked something over and fell on top of each other. That is such a good insight. And I encourage everybody to look at those years. And if you need to rewatch this, you can, and think about, look back in your diary or look back in, some of those dates, we didn't have email yet, but you could look back in your email and see what was going on. So take note, do a little bit of a deeper dive with that.
I mean, I think like for me, I was 1995, I was a sophomore. It was the end of my, during this period, I was a sophomore in high school, and it was intense. I was the president of my class, and I had to learn so much about myself during that period. 2010, I mean, I had just broken up with my ex-girlfriend like a year before, and I think I'd started a new job. Man, I really have to think about this, but I feel like that was a really intense period as well. So I think when you lean into the tension, that's when you find the peace. It's by holding back, it's not going to be satisfactory.
Yeah. The 2010 one, I had just started a new job. Because for those of you that don't know, I used to work on the Strip in Las Vegas. And by the time I retired from hospitality, I was a director over at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. And so in 2010, that was the start of that last job. I had
At
just
the Cosmopolitan?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think 2010 was like that was the year I finally moved in. I had my own place for the first time in my life. I was like 34 years old, and I was finally living by myself. Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I went through so many changes internally because I was just by myself. I had no one to bounce off of. And that was,
that's big.
Very transformative. But I think of I use this analogy a lot, but I think it's a good one. When you think of the transformation, it's like if you ever watch the movie The Right Stuff, they do a great job of showing this, but Chuck Yeager, the man who broke the speed of sound, there were so many other pilots that were trying to break the speed of sound. And they show in the movie how like you'd be in this bar and you'd just hear a crash, and it was a plane crash, and the bartender would hang up another picture on the wall of the dead pilot who had just tried to break the sound barrier but crashed the plane. And then it was Chuck Yeager's turn, and he did something different than none of the other pilots had ever done. When they approached the sound barrier, the plane started to shake. And as it started to shake violently and that tension was building up, the pilots instinctually would pull back, but they'd lose control of the plane and it would crash and they'd die. Chuck Yeager, when the plane started rattling, instead of pulling back, he pushed harder.
Oh, that gives me the chills.
And he just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until, boom, it broke through, and then it was like clear sailing.
Oh.
And that's where we're at right now, where when you're in that moment of tension, instead of pulling back, push forward. And that's where you'll find the peace. Because like I have a friend who flies F-18s, I'm like, what is it like when you're flying the speed of sound? He's like, it's like we're standing right here talking. You feel nothing. It's just totally calm. And so
Wow.
that's what the universe is pushing us towards right now. It's like, yeah, you see all this chaos, push through it because peace is on the other side.
Yep.
Hmm.
Trust the path.
Hmm.
Yes. And thank you to everybody showing us love in the comments earlier. We appreciate everybody that tunes into these shows.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you.
Yes. So grateful for everyone here.
I think we need to start going through these headlines because.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This, of course, many of you have heard or watched Erica Kirk at the funeral for her husband, saying, "I forgive him." So there's a lot to say about this. So I put the little note on the bottom of the screen. It says, "Do you want Scott and I to host a special episode?" Because there were, messages that we were exchanging about this, but you said that, Scott, that you've been going down a rabbit hole with it and getting like all kinds of information that you're finding. But I also understand that it's a very sensitive topic.
Oh, God, yeah.
And the last thing we want to do is polarize the community. So we're not going to say too much, here today about everything that needs to be unpacked with everything that happened. But just in the comments, either in the live chat or in the replay, drop us a comment below the video. Just let us know, do you want us to host one? And it would likely be something that we would just do on Zoom and invite people over to hear, what we're picking up on and what Scott's discovered and his thoughts. And so, but if there's not enough interest, then we won't do it. But just want to float that out there. Is there anything that has been happening astrologically that would point to what did happen to Charlie last week? Was there anything that you think?
It's two things, and it's two planets that we talked about this months ago about these sorts of things happening. Number one, Neptune in Aries. Neptune is the planet of illusion, confusion, deception, intuition, compassion. Aries is the sign that represents the self. It's cardinal fire. It's ruled by Mars, the god of war. So when Neptune transited into Aries back on March 30th, we talked about how during this period, we're going to lose faith in who we are as individuals. Because we're going to be confused about who we are and what we're supposed to be doing, and does life make sense? Now, Neptune is only in Aries until October 22nd, so about a month away from now. Then it transits back into Pisces before it transits back into Aries again, where it will be for like the next 14 years. So this is because of this. When you look at historically what has happened when Neptune transits through Aries, there's a real strong sense of ideology. Because when you lose faith in yourself, many people are going to double down on the faith that they have. And so there's a real strong sense of ideology that, like, what I believe is the truth. It's the right way, and so there is the threat of people really imposing their philosophical views or their beliefs, their sense of faith on other people in a violent way. So that's one. Then you look at Uranus, which is the planet of the unexpected, the planet of revolution, rebellion. It's transiting through the mutable air sign symbolized by the twins and ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, Gemini. And when Uranus transits through Gemini, there's a shock to our minds, our conscious awareness. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, because when you look at what happened the last time that Uranus transited through Gemini, the most shocking thing that I could ever imagine, that I can look back at human history and say, yeah, that's the most shocking thing, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. But when the United States dropped nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's when Uranus was at 16 degrees in Gemini. And up until that point, the world was completely was numb, to desensitized. Like, it's interesting how a lot of people online I'm seeing saying, like, we're so desensitized now, seeing this horrific murder happen on TV. It's just disgusting. But what the people living in the 1930s and 40s saw in their reality, not even on TV, was way more horrific than what we're witnessing on TV. Like, when you think about Anne Frank and, people being dragged away from their homes and murdered, and put in camps, and just all the cities that were bombed. You see that now when you look at, like, the Middle East or Gaza. It's like some of these images, it's like, is that real? Is that really what this city looks like now? So it's almost like we're being groomed by the universe, let's say, or God, to prepare us for, like, greater shocks that are going to occur in the next 7 years or so.
That all makes sense, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I do think it's where we're at, and it's the dismantling that will eventually get us to the other side of it. Mm-hmm. Looks like initial responses are that people would be interested in us doing a separate episode. So my advice would be, make sure that you are on our email lists. So spiritandspark.com and theweeklytransit.com, because it'd be likely something we just send out in an email and say, hey, we're going to do this Zoom, this date and time. Here's the link. So just make sure that you're paying attention to your email inbox if you want to get access to that. So, okay, perfect. Because it's not something I necessarily want to do here. But I do think that it would be worth having a discussion about. Okay. This is a cyber attack that crippled major airports. Could be a test for something bigger. So the picture on the screen there is from Heathrow in London, Terminal 2. They had a cyber attack that disrupted the check-in and boarding software. So this happened the day before I had to fly through Heathrow.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they were manually doing the check-in and boarding process.
Wow.
So, and that airport is so big that I can't even imagine what those airline employees had to deal with, and the frustrations that travelers were experiencing. And I know it's caused delays all over the place. DFW, I think it may have been both of their airports. I don't know if that would mean DFW and Love Field, but they also had issues with their airports last week. And so airports have been front and center with having these big issues, some cyber, some that feel more like software related. What points, like, what in astrology is like, yeah, the cyber attacks, because I've been talking about how cyber attacks are part of the new warfare, and how this is just the beginning. And this article, when I saw that, I'm like, well, yeah, to test for something bigger. Like, they're just going to keep getting bigger, more grander. They'll infiltrate more. We were so worried back in the day about some piece of our data being stolen by a hacker. They have everything at this point, but now we're going to be concerned about things like this where it's like, what are they going to try to take down next? So what are the astrology points to cyber attacks or issues with airports?
I think it's a combination of things that happened with this specific cyber attack, or how everything got shut down at Heathrow and these other airports that you mentioned. That was right around the eclipse,
Ah,
and the eclipse happened at the final degree of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury represents quick trips. It's travel. So that created stress around travel. Then you have that was actually aligning with Neptune. So it was opposing Neptune, creating confusion,
ah,
opposing Saturn in Pisces, creating more confusion to reality, and then aligning also with Uranus, the planet of the unexpected, in the sign that's ruled by Mercury, Gemini. So again, travel, unexpected with travel, and Uranus represents technology. So I think those four, with Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and the eclipse all together, that's what kind of bundled up. Like when I said before we got on here, I was like, when you said you were going to Europe, when you were going, I was like, okay, because
I'm
I was like, it's kind of crazy out there with the astrology and stuff. But Dalisa's protected. She's in it. She's in the white light, and so
I am, but I was sharing with you backstage, like I have really had to like shake off that energy
mhm.
because it was really heavy over there. Now I know there's a lot of other things going on in Europe. And so I think just being there and being in that environment was a different frequency.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, whew. Yeah, I told Scott I slept for 18 hours after I got back.
It sounds amazing.
And then, well, I did have to get up once to feed my cats because
Okay.
uh, they would jump on me until I did. And then last night, a solid 10 hours. Like, so
Wow.
I'm,
Wow.
I'm just like processing all of that.
Mm.
There was just a density to it. It's hard to explain, but
Mm.
let's see
Makes
where we're.
sense.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. So speaking of airports, um, yeah, I was in Amsterdam, and
Mhm.
then I was in Denmark and Norway. And so today, this is just a screenshot. It literally
Yeah.
happened like
Yeah.
right before we came on. That there were large drones over Copenhagen and Oslo airports.
Mhm.
And so the prime minister is obviously very concerned. They're trying to figure out where they're from. And so this is like happening as well today. So Europe feels like, well, I mean, we can see it in the headlines. It's factual in terms of different events that are happening over there, but it just feels like they are getting pounded right now. And I
Mm.
know that, the US and other countries are going through things too, but it just feels like maybe it's because I was just there, but Europe feels like such a focal point right now, that I'm not surprised that I'm sleeping as much as I am and trying to like get back into my home here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think this speaks to what you were just talking about with travel and being at the
Well,
airports.
that's part of it, but I think this just happened. This happened like after you got back, right?
It just happened today, like right
Okay,
before we went live.
yeah, so this is the difference, Delisa.
Ah,
So you've still got, yeah, Neptune and Uranus and that whole stuff, but now the eclipse has passed. We're still feeling the reverberations of that, but the sun is in Libra now, and Mars is in Scorpio. Like Mars was at the final degree of Libra during the eclipse, now it's in Scorpio, and this is a prime example of what I was trying to articulate earlier, where it's like peace above, but war beneath, because it's like up in the sky. Okay, we can see there's drones, something. It seems like no big deal, but beneath the surface, there's, is this a threat? What does this mean? Like, I really think that there needs to be awareness to any sort of peace talks that are occurring during this period, because like historically, like when you look at like 1978 was the Camp David Accords. They were signed on September 17th, just before uh, just before the sun moved into Libra and Mars moved into Scorpio. So that was a historic peace between Israel and Egypt. Yet during that window, the Arab world erupted in condemnation, and regional terrorism haunted the Middle East. So it's like there's visible peace, but then there's something happening sort of beneath the shadows. There is also the Oslo Accords in 1993. In 1993, the Sun the Sun in Libra and Mars in Scorpio was from September 26th to October 23rd. So it was almost the full period of the Sun in Libra, not quite, but almost. And that the Oslo Accords, those lifted hopes of Middle East peace on September 13th, right before the Sun in Libra and Mars in Scorpio. But the World Trade Center bombing, the first one in February of that year, cast some shadow over that. So it revealed how peace initiatives and terrorist plots could develop simultaneously. And then the Dayton Accords were in 1995, that other year that I mentioned, and that promised to end the Bosnian War. So that was like a diplomatic triumph that emerged from the ethnic horror that was occurring there. But yet at the same time, the Oklahoma City bombing occurred in April of that year. So it was like domestic terrorism shadowed international peace. So there's kind of like a interesting juxtaposition between, is there peace or is there war? There might be peace on the surface, but then what's going on beneath the surface?
I'm sure there will be more for us to talk about next week.
Always.
Always. All right. You share a birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of. The date.
Same date, same day, not same year. I was born on Jimmy Kimmel's his 7th birthday. No, his 8th birthday. His 8th birthday. I was born on his 8th birthday. Yeah.
He's been going through it. I mean, this also happened recently where they said, you're out. And they said indefinitely. And then there was a lot of uproar from some people. A bunch of celebrities, I think it was like 400 celebrities signed a petition. So they're like, okay, we'll bring you back. And so tonight he'll be on the air.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many ABC stations that said, we're not going to bring him back. We're not going to actually show him on TV. So it was like a partial bringing him back, whether you like him or you don't like him. I just find it feels like such a tug of war in the energy of like,
yes,
is this for me? Is this not for me? Like, what's happening? It feels like a tornado, and what do you equate this to?
Well, first of all, just like from a personal perspective, like I worked on the Jimmy Kimmel show for like in the very beginning. I wasn't employed by the show, but I worked for a publicity company that did the publicity for the show. And so like when he first came on the air, it was really this novel thing. It was so interesting because like it's such a rags to riches type of story. It's like the American dream. When I first moved to LA, Jimmy Kimmel you didn't even know Jimmy Kimmel. It was Jimmy the Sports Guy. Literally, that's what they called him. Jimmy the Sports Guy on Kevin and Bean, which was K-Rock in LA. and he was hilarious. I always look forward to hearing his sports takes. He was just so good, and apparently he got the job, because he would just call into the radio station all the time from his bedroom, and they eventually just hired him to be like on the show. And then, a few years later, now he's hosting his own show on a major network. But when they first started the show, like nobody wanted to be on his show. None of the celebrities, like they were just desperate to get like anybody on the show. But he was so creative and inventive. Like he had the show. He recorded the show on Hollywood Boulevard in the heart of Hollywood in this historic building. It was so cool. And then he had this green room that became like legendary in Hollywood because everybody wanted to hang out in the Jimmy Kimmel green room because he had like an open bar there. And so like Quentin Tarantino, I was there one night where Quentin Tarantino was like making drinks behind the bar, and Terry Bradshaw, the quarterback, was just like blitzed out of his mind. Another time I was there, but I would kind of like hang out in the green room, and then we'd like report to the tabloids like the different things that we saw or whatever was going on the show. And it's nothing like harsh or anything like that. It's all in good fun because he wanted to be endeared by them. And so to see that like all these celebrities are backing him just shows how far he's come. But at the same time, it also feels like kind of a fall from grace. There's a lot of political implications here. And I know the ratings have been down too. I saw that. But, just thinking about it from an astrological perspective, I think it's Uranus and Gemini again, and then also like the Libra, the Sun in Libra and Mars in Scorpio, because like something's going on beneath the surface. It's like, why are these networks not don't want to air his show? I think if you look into it, some of these networks, or I don't even know what the proper term is, like Nexstar, like these different companies that are running the show on the local networks. I think they're, the owner of that company is, far on the right. So things are getting really political. It has to do with Neptune and idealization. Different people have different beliefs, and it's everybody imposing their beliefs and their perspectives on everyone else, which is creating a lot of tension. When I look at like Jimmy's chart, I see like Mars is conjunct his Mercury. And so there might be a real sense of agitation or aggravation to the way that he's communicating right now. Jupiter is sextile his Pluto. So he's being called to go through some really big changes. Venus is conjunct his Jupiter. So there is like some luck for him. There's luck coming out of this somehow, some way. But, Pluto is also squaring his Mercury. So it's creating a lot of tension with the way that he's communicating. Like if I had a relationship with Jimmy Kimmel, which I don't, I've never even met him, but even though I was like working on the show, I was just kind of in the shadows and he's doing his own thing. And so, but it was a really special time in my life because I lived in Hollywood and I would get to I would walk there every evening and just go and hang out. But, I would tell him like, maybe it's time to move on and to do his own thing, somewhere else where he's not controlled by Nexstar or ABC, to be like Tucker Carlson or any of these other people that have been ostracized from their networks, and go and create your own thing. He's a North Node in Aries. I don't know what house it's in, but it's about like what is best for you. Do what's best for you, and don't, succumb to what, the man is telling you to do.
I also saw that Disney Plus is going to raise their prices.
Huh.
So I wonder if that's somehow tied into this or not. But yeah, and I think it was Javiera that said Disney stock is down. I haven't looked at it, so I don't know how much it's down, but also wouldn't surprise me. It's all entangled in this. But you just gave us all the gossip. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
interesting. Yeah,
The
yeah.
stories you can tell, I am sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
So it's an interesting time
it
we're living
is.
in, and I think really like the big lesson for all of us, if I can just like kind of bring this back to us, because like what we're seeing with Jimmy Kimmel and Charlie Kirk, all this sort of stuff, like what can we learn from this from ourselves? And what I see is what I'm finding more importantly, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not going to presume that I'm speaking for anyone else, but when I think of Neptune in Aries, like the high frequency of Neptune in Aries is everybody can believe what they want to believe. And the more we are trying to impose our beliefs upon anyone else, the more we're out of alignment with Earth and what Earth is supposed to be. That we can live in a world where you and I can have radically different beliefs, but yet I'm not a threat to you and you're not a threat to me.
Yeah.
And this is all coming up through what we're seeing in the media right now, where people are being silenced either through being taken off the air or being killed. It's, and so I really want to just choose my words carefully in all that I do in terms of my beliefs, because I don't want my beliefs to feel like they're being imposed upon anyone else's beliefs, because everyone else's beliefs are as important as mine.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Nicely said.
Thanks, Dallisa.
Yeah. I put these two on the same because they are a lot of the same energy. One is Americans being priced out of traditional housing and more are living in RVs. And then the second one was from Wall Street Journal. Black Swan manager sees huge rally, then a 1929 style crash. Neither one of these surprised me based on my channelings and what I'm seeing in the energy and what's developing.
What are you seeing?
That it's going to be untraditional housing and people, more and more people living together as adults. Multi-generational family homes will be more of the norm. But adults that are friends that are just like, hey, we have to live together to afford this, kind of like roommates, but people like in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like that are going to be living with each other to make ends meet. And then I have channeled on a financial crash. And I think our energetically speaking, what they tell us in the news about where we're at with inflation or, are we headed toward a recession or whatever. Every time I hear like somebody talking about like what it is right now, I'm like, yeah, right. It's total BS. Like, I think we're not actually getting the story of what the numbers are saying. I think it's far worse than what we're being led to believe.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that it is propped up to a significant degree
Yep.
and it will come crashing down. And I know how that sounds. And I know that our grandparents, at least my grandparents, they lived during the Depression, like, and they got through it. They figured it out. It changed them and it changed the way that they operated their home and their money, their investments. And so I don't say it out of fear that I think that that's where we're headed, but I'm just saying it as like, that's where I feel the energy is at and what it's pointing towards, and that we will get through it.
Yes. Yes. Well, that crash that happened in 1929 did happen in October when the sun was in Scorpio and Mars was in Scorpio and Venus was in Libra, just like it will be in this year. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I definitely could see something like that happen. And I agree with you. I mean, I feel like whatever they're telling us in the news it's, it's not necessarily, you're not getting the full story,
Yeah.
you're not getting the full story.
Yes, absolutely. So we got to go to our local communities and find out more of what's actually happening in our own surroundings,
Yeah.
because any kind of national story we're getting at this point, I don't think
Mm,
is accurate.
yeah. No.
All right. This happened today. A massive telecom threat was stopped right as world leaders gathered at the UN headquarters in New York. So I'll just read this quickly at the bottom. While close to 150 world leaders prepared to descend on Manhattan for the UN General Assembly, the U.S. Secret Service is quietly dismantling a massive hidden telecom network across the New York area. A system, investigators say, could have crippled cell towers, jammed 911 calls, and flooded networks with chaos at the very moment the city was most vulnerable.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. So this is today. I mean, I know
Yeah.
you've already talked about the current astrology and what's happening, but do you have anything you want to add to this? This doesn't surprise me at
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this again just reflects the sun in Libra, Mars in Scorpio, Uranus in Gemini, and Neptune in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius. Like, throw that one in there too. You can't talk about Uranus and Gemini and Neptune in Aries without talking about Pluto and Aquarius, because they're all interlocked right now, and they're going to continue to remain interlocked until October 22nd, which kind of is eerie because by October 22nd, Neptune is going to move into Pisces, and then by November 7th, Uranus transits back into Taurus. So maybe that's when the crash happens, like in early November or mid November. I don't know.
The winter has felt very wintry
Mm,
energetically. So that time frame wouldn't surprise me if we saw some kind of turn in
yeah.
the economy or the stock market. Yeah. Yeah. That's why we get together every single week. We
Yes.
have to. We have to. We have to keep talking about it as it's unfolding
Hmm.
and how we move through this, which is, why
Yes.
why we do this. There was an announcement that visa fees were going to be increased or put at $100,000. And so this article was interesting because I hadn't thought about it in this way. The headline says patients will wait longer. $100,000 visa fees risk worsening doctor shortage. And this is for high skilled visa applicants and the fee that goes along with bringing people into work here in a visa. That
Hmm.
$100,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Who's paying for that?
Yeah.
Um, I'm assuming they don't have a budget for $100,000 visa fees for the individuals they're gonna bring in. I mean, and the article is right. I mean, you look at the health system today, and there are doctor shortages, and there are some
Mm,
places in the United States that it can be really challenging to get
mm,
in for an appointment within a reasonable amount of time. And when I say reasonable, less than 6 months.
mm.
And so I thought this was an interesting take, an angle I hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
Um, but it goes also with the money stories and how things are potentially headed towards that dismantling more and more with these different systems.
Why do you think the Trump administration is doing this?
Energetically, and I haven't really sat with it, but the feeling I get from it, the psychic word I'm hearing right now is homegrown. So the feeling that goes along with it is like wanting Americans to be, I don't know why Spirit is using these words, but like preferred, like the preferred applicant or the preferred person in the job. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. But that's what I'm getting psychically with that question.
Yeah.
But I think my question back to that would be, no offense, America, but like, do we have enough people that are skilled and ready to take on jobs like going to medical school? Like,
Yeah.
there are other sectors that aren't medical, whether it's AI or advanced technologies, engineering. There's all kinds of different fields that we've had people working from other countries in the United States in those jobs. So,
Yeah. Like, why are like people from foreign countries somehow keeping Americans out of jobs as doctors?
yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't. And like I said, where's the $100,000 coming from?
Exactly.
Who's paying that?
That's a great question.
Yeah. But I'm sure there'll be more unfolding with this as time goes on. So we'll keep everybody updated as we see those news headlines come forward. This was a big news story. This was announced, I believe it was yesterday. And then I noticed I had like CBS News or whatever in the background going and the Today Show. And there were different experts coming on these shows and saying like, it's not true, right? And I think it's fascinating from like an observer's perspective. I would be really worried if I was somebody that was taking a bunch of Tylenol and wondering like, was that safe or not, right? So I one of the people on the news today said, I'd hate to be an OBGYN today with all the phone calls and people coming into the office.
Yeah.
But it shows like the polarization, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just the polarization with politics, it's also the polarization with the news around medical stuff too. And so I have not dug into the research as to why this was concluded and announced, but I just know it was announced.
Yeah.
And that the experts on TV today were very clear to say it's not true. So it just showed like there's two very different sides to the conversation with this.
Yeah.
My hope would be that very intelligent people, smarter than me, get together and really, really figure it out and not just talk about this or that in terms of like, this is what I think, this is what I think. It's like, just solve the problem. If you think that it's somehow connected, then figure it out.
Yeah.
And if it's not true, you really owe everybody like so anyway, what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, geez. I just keep going back to Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Like those three together, like they're just creating a lot of disruption in terms of what's true, what's not true. There's a lot of confusion. You're seeing things from wildly different perspectives than you had seen them in the past. It's transforming the way that we relate to each other in society, how we understand ourselves. And it's really been interesting to see. Like we were wondering back in July when Uranus transited into Gemini and aligned with Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius, we're like, well, what's going to happen? And there's really been some radical news stories that have created more confusion than answers. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Yes.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Yes.
We'll keep an eye on it. We do have one more story, and then we're going to do magic word. I saved it to the end this time because I'll give everybody like the new instructions. But they're really easy. But I feel like this feels like good news, but I don't know. I want everybody to weigh in the comments. Do you think this is good news?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Baywatch reboot ordered at Fox for the
Yeah,
26-27
yeah.
season.
Let's just bury our heads in the sand. Bury our heads in the sand some more.
Oh
Just
my
stare at
gosh.
good-looking people wearing little clothing, running around on the beach, and all the problems just wash away out into the ocean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the jury's out, but I want to see if people think that's good. I'm hearing no. Ooh,
Oh
that was
yeah,
an
yeah,
ooh. Well, I appreciate your honesty.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, let us know in the comments if you thought
yeah.
that was good news or not. I thought that
Totally.
was pretty
I'm
funny.
curious to know from like who was it in the comments said earlier? Yeah, Nancy. Nancy was like, any good news? Oh, Nancy says no, this isn't good news. Okay. So we got a no and no and LMAO from Javiera, and then we got a not a no. I love Baywatch from
We got
Liz.
one. We
Okay,
got one.
cool. We got a LOL, a no, a pass, an LOL, cheese balls, no, thumbs down. Oh wow, wow.
Oh. Lisa gave us all a laugh.
Exactly,
At,
exactly.
at the end of that run of news headlines, I felt like we needed something that would make us smile. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about magic word.
Yeah.
So what I did is if you go onto my website, you literally go to spiritandspark.com, click in the menu, and I created where it says magic word. Click it. And the form is right there. So I'll pin it also underneath, but that's the easiest way to get there if you're watching live. And yeah, and then we'll announce today's winner next week when we're back. So you got to keep tuning in, see if we call
Yeah.
your name out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this just gives everybody an opportunity to participate, whether you're watching live or the replay. Because we appreciate everyone, and there's a lot of people like in Europe and other places in the world that are like, it's just so late, I can't tune in live. And so we're trying to bring everybody together. But of course, the live chat, we're here with everybody here
Love the
talking.
live chat.
Yeah, it's good. I like it too.
We got a maybe from Joanna. I like Joanna. She's like, it depending on the characters and their actors. Wow, like really getting deep, thoughtful, being really thoughtful about potentially liking Baywatch. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. I'm curious. I'm probably not going to watch it, but you never know. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll watch an episode. I don't know.
You might just
So
like you
maybe
might
I'll
just
just
feel like getting wild and watching it.
I might just go down to the beach and see if they're actually filming it down there. So see where they're filming.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then I'll drop the link to the form here also in the chat. So you just have a one click. So it should come up in the chat.
And the magic word is the magic word.
The magic word for this week is hope. HOPE. Hope.
Hope. After a really dark episode, the magic word is hope.
Hope. I felt like we needed that for this week.
Yes.
So there's your one click that you can go directly to the form and enter the word hope. Let's see. What else is cooking? Oh, yeah. So I've got my Chakra 101 class. All the slides are done. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to work with each chakra tomorrow night. There are 120 people enrolled.
Wow.
So, yeah. So anybody that hasn't enrolled and you want to come, there's still a few spots left. Love to see you over there. You do get the live access and the replay. So that'll be fun. Let's see here. I feel like, the one question tarot reports. Last month, they totally sold out. Sacred Signal members got access to them today, to the 33 spots. They go public tomorrow morning. So if you're like, God, I have this burning question about my life, you can purchase the One Question Tarot Report. I get my cards out, I shuffle them, and I pull 7 cards and create a report based on the tarot cards to answer your question. So, but there aren't many spots left. So those go out in the morning, morning Pacific time. So keep a lookout for that. I think those are all of my, I think those are all of my updates. So what do you have cooking?
Well, right now I'm really excited about my Substack because I have 3 paid subscribers, which is amazing because, I wasn't even doing anything special for paid subscribers. And people are like, no, I appreciate what you're doing, what you're creating, and they want to support me there. And I feel really grateful for it. And it's inspired me to now create exclusive paid content. I'm still going to do my weekly free release, which has been, highlighting a specific transit and what that means historically. That's something that I've been reading also on my podcast, The Weekly Transit. But I'm also going to be, the paid content is going to be essays that are about like really focused on the transits and how you can work with the energy. So like there's the one that's historical, which is kind of the bigger picture, which is free, and the one that is more focused on the individual and what you need to be doing to navigate the chaos and all the crazy transits. Like what can you do? That is going to be part of the paid content. So I'm excited about that. And then I've got my new website is coming out this weekend. So hopefully by the time I see you next week, Dallisa, it's live and it's working. So that is, that's happening as well.
Yay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And just a reminder to anybody that wants to get info on the Charlie Kirk episode, the extra episode, make sure you're on our email list so that you get that. So you can do that on both of our websites if you're not already on there. All right. We're used to doing a drum roll and we're not doing a drum roll. So reminder, Joanne Kitt and Olga Aberka, make sure you email me to claim your tarot reports this week. And we'll be back again next week with an all new episode of Planets and Predictions and our live chat for those of you that are here. But if you're watching the replay, drop us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll see everybody soon. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome, Dallisa.
All right. Bye.
Bye.